We are continuing our discussion on image and colorism. This is week 3, and like the others, I have a subtopic, and this one is called Now You See Me, Now You Don't. There was a study done in 1946 by Dr. Charles H. Parris Jr. And in his study, he noted, he said, although few Negroes are willing to concede the validity of the assertion that color plays any significant role in the organization of Negro society, there is ample evidence that differences in skin color receive at least verbal recognition in the Negro community. He noted popular songs at the time like Brown Skin Gals or off-color jokes and other indelicate stories that have been used to describe the various color shades and of the stereotype conceptions of what each shade or color group is like. For example, the blacks stand back, the yellows take all the fellows, and the browns are the cutest things in town. But no matter how light or bright, you're not right if you aren't white. Now, the original list of different colors, shades, and names were 120. They added 23 more after that, but finally narrowed the list down to this. Now, what's interesting is some of the names that didn't make the list are Clinker, Come On Tan, Blackout, Jungle Yellow, Teasing Brown, Honest Black, Stovepipe Blonde, Won't Stop Black. So in order to ascertain what, if any, of the stereotype notions were associated with these color designations, a number of people, including 88 junior high school pupils, were asked to give physical descriptions and personality characteristics for each of the several color classes. And this is what they came up with. Now, a light skin and other physical traits which approximate the Caucasian type have high values in the Negro community, he noted. It says color, however, because of its symbolic importance in Negro-white relations, has become somewhat detached from the other traits and has acquired a special significance. Extremely light skin color evokes envy and resentment on the part of darker persons who come to harbor a genuine distrust and suspicion of light-colored Negroes. These negative attitudes, however, are not directed toward the highly valued light color, but rather toward the persons who, because of their light skins, are believed to be conceited and snobbish. Now, it's significant, he said, that light color, rather than some other Caucasian trait, is the mark by which these haughty people are usually identified. At the other extreme, Black Negroes are condemned for their quarrelsome dispositions and pitied for their feelings of inferiority. That the color person is important is attested by the fact that, quote unquote, Black is considered the worst color to be by 3 out of every 5 of the persons who were asked. Now, in 2010, there was another study that revisited Parris's study to bring it more up to date. It was conducted by Jeffrey Ann Wilder, who was named by Oberlin College and Conservatory in Ohio as the inaugural executive director for the Center of Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Or is that bad word, that bad 3-letter word, DEI. The center was developed through the work commissioned by Oberlin's Presidential Initiative on Racial Equity and Diversity. And they did a comprehensive examination on the campus of its programs conducted from 2020 to 2022. And the initiative was launched and heightened during the heightened tensions nationwide in response to the murder of George Floyd. And it was aimed at identifying opportunities to advance equity, diversity, and inclusion across all facets of the institution. Now, Ms. Wilder was just appointed last year in 2024, and many claimed the college was playing the race card. Well, no matter now, because unfortunately, everybody in DEI has been trumped as of this year. Well, Ms. Wilder conducted her study in 2010 with 9 focus groups of 58 Black women between the ages of 18 and 25. And the study revealed that the color names and color notions offered were consistent with many of the terms and stereotypes that Parrish found. thereby indicating that there has been no change in colorist ideology among African Americans. And that's the term she used, more updated term, I guess. So participants discussed the 40 color names regularly employed to describe light, medium, and dark skin tones. The terms and attitudes associated with light skin tones were generally negative. Conversely, the terms and attitudes associated with dark skin tones were derogatory. The language and beliefs connected to medium skin tones indicate that colorism operates as a three-tiered structure rather than traditionally situated binary, that means two-tiered paradigm, okay? He said that the internalized bias in favor for light-skinned European features and good hair has stratified the Black community for generations. Although the term colorism is rarely used in the Black community, the term dark skin versus light skin and color complex are more common phrases used to describe the phenomenon. And she notes that a study done in 2002 by Mark Hill and Margaret Hunter, it pointed out that in the present day, colorism affects Black women more than Black men, particularly in the areas of beauty, mate selection, and self-esteem. Okay. Wilder examined the history and noted that Europeans developed a terminology for distinguishing the various levels of African ancestry. A mulatto was 3/8 African ancestry, a quadroon was 1/4 African ancestry, and an octoroon was 1/8. Now, because of their partial white heritage, light-skinned Blacks carried more economic value, were considered smarter and superior to dark-skinned Blacks, and therefore realized more advantages in a white-dominated society, including broadened opportunities in education, manumission from slavery, that was granted freedom, okay, by the slave owners, and the acquisition of land and property. Now, at the turn of the 20th century, the implementation of separatist standards such as the brown paper bag test, the pencil test, the ruler test, and the door test, and the development of exclusionary social clubs and societies set the stage for subsequent color divisions within Black America that would shape socially constructed ideas about skin tone and phenotype. Throughout the years, these stereotypical beliefs made their way from one generation to the next. And African Americans today continue to place a premium on lighter skin tone, seeing the different shades of brown as varying degrees of status, acceptance, and achievement. Okay. And she looked at the pre-civil rights era. That was supposed to be the height of Black power, and the civil rights era. That was supposed to be the civil rights era. That was after the pre-civil rights, okay? The pre-civil rights was in the Jim Crow, that segregation during 1860s to 1950s, okay? That's when the colorism, like racism, was blatant, overt, okay? And it was palpable, meaning it was so intense you could almost feel it. And it was in the lives of the Black Americans. So having a lighter skin color and European features provided access to better opportunity. And skin color became a criterion for the attainment of prestige in the African American community, okay? But during the 1960s, the Black Power movement, or the Civil Rights era, racial consciousness and Black power was encouraged. So this era was powerful because they rejected the ideological view of race and color that deemed anything light or close to European as superior, okay? As a result of this, the Black is beautiful ideology, which embraced darker skin and natural hair, became the mantra of many young people. Consequently, for a brief time, skin tone bias and stratification appeared to diminish right along with the Jim Crow, okay? But there was a study that Wilder noted that in 1972, they interviewed more than 200 young urban Black males about the significance of skin color. They discovered that the Black is beautiful mantra caused a shift in attitudes about light and dark skin. The participants in the study indicated a desire to wear their hair natural, said they would consider marrying a dark-skinned partner with a broad nose and lips, and they considered brown skin as the best color. However, what they discovered in another study conducted in 2002, that the ideological shifts of the 70s were neither all-encompassing nor were they long-lasting. You ever wonder why that was? I have a few theories. How about you? Well, Wilder's study was conducted on 58 Black women from 9 focus groups, and she used a 5-point scale used in the 1980 National Survey of Black Americans, which were very light, light brown, medium, dark, and very dark. Okay, so the participants, they were to categorize their own skin tone, and 5% of the women identified as very light. Okay, 24% categorize themselves as light brown, 43% characterize themselves as medium, and 24% indicated that their skin tone as dark, and 4% classified their dark skin as very dark. Now Wilder, these are showing you in the categories, the names and different ones. For example, under the light, and you see some of the food references, caramel, French vanilla, okay, things like that, milk chocolate. And some of us use those or have used those in the medium pecan, tan, caramel, and over in the dark chocolate, okay. Some of these terms, watermelon child, okay. Some are more derogatory than others. But she received various responses from the women in her study. Okay. One of the responses, Denise said that she thinks that the problem with color complex is that everybody wants to be a house nigga. That's Nigga. So this comment is a direct reference to the distinction made between the light-skinned slaves whose duties were relegated inside the slave master's house and their darker counterparts who were called the field niggers. You had to perform manual labor in the outdoors. And Wilder, she notes that Denise's remark, in addition to those the other women who noted using or hearing the term house nigga, reflects not only the survival of the contentious word Nigger, but the continued reification, okay, of the slave mentality without Black culture. And that reification means that you just treat an idea or concept as if it was a real tangible object of some sort, okay? All right. So rather than you hear me go on and on about this, let's hear some of the voices, the internal scripts rather of colorism, okay, noted by Wilder that produced the color notions. And once you hear these young people, and mind you, these are their actual words, just not their real voices.